Hey everybody, I'm going to be heading out to the Texas Hill Country today. Outside of Bandera, between Bandera and Kerrville, I'll be taking the Fuji XE1 18mm lens, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, but come along for the ride. I'm using a Fuji XE1, shooting some black and white landscape. I'm over here just outside Bandera, right before you get to Kerrville, Texas, off Highway 16. Little creek that runs under a bridge here. The water's a little higher than the last time I came out here, so it's just not as interesting today, but I'm gonna see what I can come up with. I have the 18mm Fuji lens, and I'm shooting in raw mode with the see there, I don't know if you can see that. Change this display. It's a little bright out here, so anyways, I'm framing these two trees with the creek running through there. See what I can come up with. Even with the harsh sunlight that was out, I was still happy with the image I was able to capture. I adjusted the contrast and did some dodging and burning and added a slight vignette on the outside. The tripod that I'm using is an Enduro AT114. I purchased it on Amazon. They come with a 10-year US warranty once you register it. The main reason I purchased it was lightweight. It's an aluminum tripod at 3.3 pounds, and it's great for backpacking. I do a lot of hiking, and great for a landscape photographer. Even though I do not consider myself a landscape photographer, it's great for doing landscape work when you need something that's backpackable. Well, the light's a little lower in here, so my shutter speed's slow. I'm gonna pull out my neutral density filters. There's a lot of gnats in here. I'm going to pull out my neutral density filters and slow down my shutter speed even more so I can get a little blur in the water here. I don't know if you can hear the water in the background. Like I said earlier, the water level's a little higher than it was last time. So there's a little more movement in the water. So I'll go ahead and pull my filters out here and see what I can come up with. Filters I'm using, filters I just purchased on Amazon. I can look it up and let you know what the brand is. Nothing special, nothing to brag about. Great for beginners. Been doing photography for about 20 years or so. Just recently started using neutral density filters for my landscape work. I don't know why I waited so long to use them. It's a must-have. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up on my camera. Filters I have come in a nice little case here. Comes with the filter holder. It's pretty cheap on Amazon. Just the filter holder alone was worth purchasing it, because you can use it with some of the more name brand, more expensive filters. So I plan on doing that later on, get some better filters later on. Let me get this set up real quick and I'll show you what I got. Alright, so I'm going to slow my shutter speed down so I can get a little blur in the water. So I'm going to add a adapter here for my lens so I can attach my filters. Have this filter holder, holds up to 3 filters, I believe. Yeah, 3 filters. And it just slides right on the adapter, like so, locks into place. And I'm going to start with a, I believe I have an 8-stop neutral density filter here. So I'm going to give that a try, see if it's too much, and then go from there. So I've also added a remote timer. You can see that there. And this will help prevent any movement on the camera. I can trigger the shutter using the remote. Well, it doesn't look like the shutter speed's slow enough. I'm down to about 0.2 of a second. I want to get it down to maybe about 2 seconds or so. So I'm going to add another filter. So I'm adding an additional filter. Slide that right on front. Check my exposure now. Yeah, 1.5 seconds right there. I think that'll get me to where I want to be. Let's try that out. Let me just give you an idea of what I'm looking at here. Now, if you can see that very good. I do have my display to show the image in black and white. I am shooting in RAW though, so when I import the images, I do have the original RAW file. I like to have the display in black and white so I get an idea of my tones, contrast and everything. I have the camera set up to where I have the red filter, sharpness +1, and my highlight and shadow tones are +2. I feel that this gives, I just started using this setting recently, and I feel that it gives a little bit of a little more punch to the black and white images, a little more contrast. So I'll let you see the final results once I get them processed. But this is what I'm looking at. It's a lot of harsh light coming through, but I think it'll make it interesting with all the shadows that are falling on the water there, across the water. So I think it's going to be real nice, especially with the water slowed down to about 2 seconds or so. So I think I'm going to move up a little further, see if I can find something else up there. I wanted to capture the shadows that were falling along the water. This was created by the strong sunlight that was shining through the branches of the trees. In the end, I think it made for a great image. I'm going to move up ahead here and see if I can find a different composition. I like this right here with this tree to the left. Kind of keep that in the foreground. Maybe I'll set up right here. Snap a couple shots. I don't know if you can see the water. Water's moving pretty decent. Sounds real nice. Last time I was here, there was hardly any water, but with all the rain we got about a month ago or so, all the creeks have plenty of water now. This might make for a good shot here too. Let me go grab my gear, bring it over here. Once I set up for the next shot, I had to wait a good 10 minutes or so. There were some children that walked upstream, and as you can see here in the video, they were just enjoying the day coming down in their tubes. Sometimes photography can require a little bit of patience. It's partially cloudy out here, so I'm waiting for the clouds to kind of cover up the sun some. To reduce the amount of light falling onto the water. That way there's no harsh shadows or anything, and then I'll take an exposure. Looks like it'll be around 5 seconds with the neutral density filters that I'm using. Should be a cloud passing over us about just a minute here. Hopefully it'll block some of that sunlight. Should be able to see it, the transition from the harsh shadows. This was my favorite image of the day. The sun finally went behind the clouds for just enough time. Was able to get the water down to about 5 seconds. In the end, my patience paid off.